morning, everyone. We'll go ahead and get started. First of all, thank you so much for being here today. My name is Hai Nguyen. I'm co-founder of Affluence, the company behind Matrix. Today's webinar is on our advanced feature called custom templates. Before I get started, I want to let you know that this webinar is recorded, and so we'll be sharing the recording with everyone afterwards. And then also in the chat section here, there's a place for you to send me any questions that you may have. So if during the webinar you have questions around use cases or features, send them in the chat. When I get a chance, I'll take a look and then I'll try my best to answer them. And so hopefully we can leverage that to your advantage and be able to answer things that otherwise, would be hard to figure out on your own. And with that, we'll get started. So today's goals are pretty simple. One, help you understand how to customize Matrix templates, help you understand how to save, use, and share templates, how to build repeated workflows, and then how to import and export CSV, and then lastly, how to use the vast resources of templates that we provide for free. Now, as you can tell, this is not an introduction to Matrix. So if you're interested in that, definitely check out some of our other webinars where I do cover the basics of Matrix and how to use it and how to get the most out of it. And then also we have other webinars on email management and how to use that. Today, we're focusing on templates. And so I'm going to make the assumption that you have basic understanding of Matrix already. Now, what you're really looking at is how to save time and effort in the long run. So I'm going to go and explain what, let me continue here. So what Matrix is, it's a comprehensive email priority and project management software to help teams manage emails, conduct efficient meetings, and get real-time status on critical projects and priorities. At the end of the day, Matrix is a priority management software, and it's a communication software. So what that means is that we help you prioritize all the work you have to do and communicate that clearly to others around you. And so everything that I talk about in terms of functionality, everything I talk about in terms of features and so forth, really revolves around that central core. So what makes Matrix better than other solutions? If you're looking at our software already, then you're probably aware of some of these things, but we're the only software solution that's Microsoft 365 security certified in our web app, Teams app, and Outlook app. And so we're also leveraging AI to help teams and individuals achieve their goals. One of the things I want to mention is that we're also building out custom training materials as well as custom templates and so forth based on your specific use cases. So if you want to share with us how you want to tackle your challenges using Matrix, send us a message either to me or to support@affluence.com, and we'd be happy to give you resources that will help you actually navigate through all the complex work that you have and then show you how to use Matrix to tackle those problems. Matrix also provide what I call people-centric collaboration. And then finally, it's available as a SaaS solution, a HIPAA compliant solution for healthcare and life sciences, and then an Azure government cloud solution for state and local governments. And if you're interested in enterprise solution, definitely reach out to us. Everything that I'm showing here today is just on our SaaS solution. So that means if you have a free account with Matrix, you can use it. You have a paid license with Matrix, you can use it. So there's no constraints there. So let me talk about the fundamental theory, or rather the fundamental behind Matrix itself. So the reason the software is called the Matrix is because we're more than a to-do list. That's sort of the point. So there's a famous quote attributed to former President Eisenhower that what is important is seldom urgent and what is urgent is seldom important. So what that means is that if we were to take everything we have to do, instead of putting in a list, instead we actually organize it into these 2x2 matrix. The things that are important and urgent are in the do now. The things that are important and not urgent is in the plan quadrant, and the things that are not important you can delegate to others. And so the whole idea of Matrix is to help you visualize that to-do list of yours. Instead of having one long list, you break it up into these different buckets and these different dimensions, and you can look at it and see, okay, this is what I have to work on. This is what I need to do. So that's the whole idea behind all of this. So whenever you look at Matrix and whenever you look at our templates, our projects, it all fits within this 4-quadrant framework. I want to let you know that the webinars are recorded and they'll be posted on the website here, and that's where we also have other webinars. So if you have any questions, definitely reach out to us. And with that, I'm going to now jump into the product itself to show you how to use templates. Okay, so here I have my party matrix open, and this is on the web app. You can get to the web app by going to affluence.com, click on web app, or you can go to partymatrix.com. If you use Microsoft Teams, for example, Party Matrix would be embedded on the left-hand side. You just click an icon in Teams and it opens it. But here, again, with the web app, I'm going to go ahead and select a project. And so, for example, let's say this is my personal priority. So if you're already using Party Matrix, you know that you can create a lot of different projects on the left-hand side here. One of the things I always recommend is to, create a couple of projects around personal priorities, team priorities, initiatives, and so forth. But where templates kick in is when you have repeated processes. Let me give you an example. Let's just say if you're a company that works with external clients. So go ahead, we're going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to go choose all my project. I'm going to add a brand new project here. Okay, I'm going to choose a blank project and I'm going to say client onboarding project. Okay, I'm going to create that project here. I'm going to choose a color scheme and I'll click add project. So what I've just done is I've just created a project for this particular client onboarding process. But here's the thing. What if every time that I onboard a client, I go through the same task? So there's no reason for me to ever have to repeat that same process again. So let's walk through the actual scenario on how to actually onboard a client. So let's just say you have several tasks that we're going to create, which is finalize proposal due in 2 weeks. We're going to go ahead and say bill client due in 1 month. Okay. And I'm going to say prepare documentation due in 3 weeks. Okay, so now I've just created multiple tasks inside this particular project. But here's the thing. Earlier, I mentioned how we use do now, do later, delegate, and postpone, but maybe some of these quadrant names do not make sense within the context of the client onboarding. So why don't we customize that? So what I'm going to do is in this project that I've selected, at the very top here, I'm going to click on Edit Project. Now, instead of delegate, I'm going to say resources and files. Okay, so what I've just done is I'm going to change the project's quadrant names here to better reflect the nature of the project itself. So my recommendation is that when you use Party Matrix and you're using the different matrices for different purposes, think a little bit about the quadrant names and make sure that the quadrant name makes sense and reflect whatever scenario that you have. So then when I have a client onboarding project, for example, maybe resources and files is where I add documents or information around the customers themselves, right? So whenever someone else joins this project, they can look at this and have one central place, understand everything they need to do. Okay, so now I've created a project and I've created some tasks with due dates. So if this was for a client and that's the only client, then that's fine. I don't need to do anything else. But what if I want to go and replicate this process for other clients? So let me show you just to get a sense of how this looks first. You see I have the quadrants here. I can go to the list view and you can see that I've set these due dates when I created the task. And then if I go to the calendar view, I see the task here due in 2 weeks, due in 3 weeks, 4 weeks. And if I go to the Gantt chart view, I see them as well. Okay. So now that I have my project, let's just say I want to save this as a template. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the top right here and I'm going to choose Save Project as Template. And what's going to happen is that Party Matrix will give you the option to save the entire matrix as something that you can replicate whenever you need to. So I'm going to go ahead and leave the template name as is. So you have a couple of options. You have the option to clear all item dates. I don't recommend that. Instead, you want to leave it because you saw how I created those tasks with the due dates due in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. If I leave them, when I launch this project, it'll automatically add those timeline for me. So it's very, very useful. And then, of course, you can actually mark all items as unfinished. So the whole idea there is that you might have an existing project that you're already working on and you want to convert that into a template. So then what it'll do is it'll take all finished items and then convert them into unfinished item. So when you launch a new project from that template, you get all of those items as unfinished and then actually process and work through them. And then, of course, you have the option to include project members and templates. This is very useful if you have multiple people that need to be involved in the onboarding process. So let's just say you need someone from marketing, someone from customer success, et cetera, right? And then when you create that project initially, you might have 3 or 4 people. Then when you launch a project from template, all of those people will be added automatically. So I want to pause for a second because I want you to recognize how much time saving this could be. Because if you're every time you're doing a project and you have to recreate tasks and then invite team members, set due dates, that's such a tedious process. The whole idea of Party Matrix is you never have to do that twice. So now I'm going to go ahead and click create template. Okay, so the system says creating template, please wait. So what's going to happen is it's going to save it as a template. So now the template is created successfully. I got this confirmation message. Now, guess what? Let's just say I need to onboard a new client. What I'm going to do is I'm going to click on projects, show all projects, and I'm going to add a project. Now, instead of doing a blank project and having to recreate all those tasks, I'm going to go over to my templates and check that out. That client onboarding project is right here. If I click on this, I can choose a start date. Okay, so instead, earlier you saw how I created the task due, in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and 4 weeks. Now, what if I'm going to start this client on January 1st? I'm going to use templates. So now it creates a project and the tasks are created. But if we look at the calendar, you're going to see that actually the task will start next month instead. Let's see here. The task will start next month instead. So it's due 2 weeks from the start date of January 1st, 3 weeks from the start date of January 1st, and then whatever it was for a month from that date. So what happens is that by doing this and by launching it from wherever start date it is, you can actually not worry about creating the tasks and worrying about tasks not getting done, right? Because all the dates will actually propagate forward for you. And so when you create that initial template, make sure you set the due dates appropriately. And if they are dependent on each other, make sure you create all of those time stamps. So then, when you're launching a new project, all the information is there. Now, if you have multiple team members, it automatically gets added into the Party Matrix calendar, which is very, very helpful. Okay, so that's pretty much how you use a custom template inside Party Matrix. Now, let me give you a couple of use cases where this is helpful. Again, I have the client onboarding, but you might use it for employee onboarding. You might use it for recurring monthly tasks or recurring quarterly tasks. So for example, let's just say if you're a finance department and on a monthly basis or on a quarterly basis, you have to close your books, right? So then you have a bunch of recurring tasks and you want to make sure that you get them done by a certain date, a certain timestamp. All you have to do is create one project that says book closing, and then from there, add all the appropriate tasks and then the due date for them, save it as a template. Every single quarter, you simply launched a project from that template. So you can sort of think about all the different use cases as long as you have recurring tasks, as long as you have like a starting date, etc. I highly recommend setting due dates always in everything that you do, just because it's so helpful to understand when that needs to be done. Because the whole point of Party Matrix is to understand priorities, but also the dimensions of time. And so if you know when something is due, then you're more likely to get it done. Okay, so now I've shown you how to create a project from template and then how to launch it. Now, what if you want to edit a template? So let me go show you how that gets done. So if you see how, by the way, I want to show you on the left-hand side here, I created a new project, but I gave it the same name. So now, of course, there's another project with it. So of course, when you launch it, make sure that you name it in a way that makes sense. But let's just say you want to edit a template. Well, all you have to do is you can launch the template, right? If you don't have the template anymore, create a project from template and then make all the changes as needed. So this is a new task due in 3 months. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and create that task right there. And now this is an updated version of that template. Then I still go back to the same view and click on project details. From up here, I'm going to choose save project as template, and then I can save it and it'll override the previous template. So from a template standpoint, there's a unique template for every name. So as long as you have the same name and you make changes and you override it, that's how you edit a template. So the corollary to that then is if you want to make sure that you have multiple templates for with different information in it, make sure that you name it differently, right? And add something that's informative in the template name itself so that others know about it. Now let's talk about permissions real quick. So who gets access to these project templates? Everyone who's in your account. So what that means is that when you share that project template, it will be available to your coworkers and your team members who's in your account. The reason that happens is then you guys can share that resources, right? So the whole idea is that Party Matrix create a single place where if you have domain expertise or if others have domain expertise when they build these templates, that information is available to other coworkers. Now, what if you don't want to share? Well, so there's a couple ways around that. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to this client onboarding project. Now, what if I want to create a project template, but I don't want to share with others? What do I do instead? Is that instead of actually saving it as a template in Party Matrix, I can export it as a CSV. So what that does is it actually saves it as a local file for you. So here, I'm going to go, instead of save project as template, I'm going to say export as CSV. So I'm not going to do that because it'll show on my screen here. But if you export as CSV, you get a CSV file locally. And then from there, when you need to launch a new project, you can import from CSV. But let me show you how that CSV file actually looks. So here I'm going to pull down a CSV file that I have as an example from a project that I exported. As you can see, when you open the CSV in Excel here, there's a ton of information. So the name of the task, so if you have 5, 10, or 15 tasks, all those tasks will show up here. There's something called state. State 0 means a task is unfinished. And then if you look further, there's descriptions, there's creation dates, there's due dates, there's start dates, and then whether the task is an all-day task, and then the default owners of that task. And so when you go and you create when you export a project like this as a CSV, you can see that you have so much information that you can actually add to the system. Now, when you can go and you can even edit the CSV, and then afterwards you can actually import it back into Party Matrix whenever you need to. So the whole point is, if you want to make sure that no one else has access to this particular template that you've created, exporting it to CSV is a fantastic way to save it. But also it's a good way to back up your data too, just in case you want to have some of your Party Matrix data accessible somewhere else. That's what the CSV is for. Now, the CSV here is not comprehensive in capturing all your data from Party Matrix. For example, the history of all the item names and so forth, that's not available in the CSV export. It's intended just to be a way for you to export and import the matrices as needed. So let me show you now how to import a CSV. So the way it works is you go to project again, and then you choose all projects, and then you choose add project. And then instead of actually using my templates, a blank project, or anything else, you can click on import CSV and then simply select the CSV. And that's pretty much it. You click open, and then Party Matrix will import that as a project. And then afterwards, you can customize that as needed. The other thing it doesn't do is it won't do those due date propagation for you. In order to do that, you have to use our template system. But at least the CSV gives you that flexibility as needed. You can customize that CSV. Okay, so that's how you can export and import CSV as templates in Party Matrix. Now, one of the things I want to talk about is that we actually recognize that there are actually so many ideas on how to use Party Matrix and how to customize the quadrants in various ways that may make sense in different scenarios. So what we've done is we've created a massive library of templates. So you saw the do now, do later, right? That's called the Eisenhower matrix. Now, I'm sure you've heard of so many others 2x2 matrix templates, such as the SWOT analysis, which is strength, weakness, opportunity, and threats. That's a business strategy approach to analyzing whatever competition or your own companies or whatever it is. There's many use cases there. So what you can do with Party Matrix is you can actually use Party Matrix to do anything that's a 2x2 matrix, for lack of better words. So effort, impact, right? Identify tasks that are high effort, high impact, low impact, etc. So what we've done is we've created this thing called public templates. So when you create a project, instead of actually choosing blank project, and instead of choosing your own templates, and instead of trying to brainstorm on new ways, you can actually go to public templates, and these are some templates that we've created that you can use right out of the box. So here, for example, weekly to-do list template, 30, 60, 90-day plan for managers, which is something I like. What happens is it renames the quadrants into the things you got to do for 30 days from now, 60 days from now, 90 days from now. And so on a quarterly basis, if you're a manager, you just launch one of these templates, and then from there, you can start planning out your quarter. So very, very useful if you want to capture recurring tasks. All it's really doing is renaming the quadrants. Now, in some of these templates, we actually create tasks for you too as a suggestions on how to get started. So that's how you can choose from one of these public templates, and it's super trivial to get started. Just click on them, click use templates, and you see how all these tasks will get created for you here. And so that's how I use the 30, 60, 90-day plan template. So as you can see, when I go back to this view here, I have maybe a few dozens templates here. Now let me show you that Party Matrix has a lot more. So from here, you can choose to various the categories too, but that's still within this list of templates. To get to more templates, there's a couple of ways. First, if you go to our website, affluence.com, you can click on templates at the very top. I'll show you how to get there. So here, when I go to affluence.com, which is our main website, at the very top here, there's an option to click on templates. And when you do, it opens this template gallery. It's the same task. It's the same list that you just saw inside Party Matrix. But if you click on each of these, you can actually read about them, and you can also choose the option to import them directly into your account. So assuming that you have to be logged in, of course. But also, if you want to have access to thousands of templates, we actually have them on our website. If you go to affluence.com/productivity category templates, which I'll share here in the list, in the chat with everybody. So if you go to that website here, you can actually get access to our templates. And so we actually have templates around IT service management, organizational performance, and so forth. And so the list is massive. It's actually far too much for us to include within the application, but that's why we have it on our blog. So if you're interested in using other ways, using Party Matrix for other purposes, as long as it's a 2x2 matrix, we actually have all those templates there. And what you can do is you can actually learn about each of those matrices, how to use them, and actually launch them into your Party Matrix. Okay, so that's how you use our existing template system. And so I want to go back to Party Matrix here. And then one of the other things that you can do from a template standpoint is you can create with AI. So what happens is we actually give you the ability to take a goal that you have. So for example, let's say you want to be promoted, or let's say you want to improve operational efficiency at your department, or let's say you want to get more fit. Those are the kind of potential goals that you may have. When you go to create with AI, you can type in your goal and then click next. And over the course of a few minutes, our system, our AI system, would generate the task for you within a certain framework template. And then from that, you can actually save that and use it for yourself whenever you need to. So that's one where I'm not going to show you in details, because that's something I would love for you to go and explore and then give us feedback. But as you can see, when I go create with AI, we have some examples here just to give you some ideas on what you can do with the AI system. But you can just click on one of these or just type in your goal. And you can do this a couple of times under the free account. And then if you have a paid account, then you can use this as many times as you like. So that's the whole goal with the AI system, which is, we know that we can't create a template for every single possible use case. And so instead, we'll let you decide on what it is that you need. And the system will create it for you. Okay. So that's how you create projects, and that's how you create templates. Now, let me make sure that I have addressed all of those capabilities that I wanted to cover. So I'm going to jump back to the slides here. Let's go back to this list here. Okay, now let's talk about this and make sure that we actually address everything that I wanted to cover. First, I showed you how to customize the Party Matrix template. And again, the way to do that is you can edit a project, you can edit the quadrant names, you can edit the colors, you can edit the task inside each matrix and then save it as a template. You learn how to save a template to share with your entire organization or your entire team, or you can save it as a CSV, which is a local template. And now with the CSV, you can post it on SharePoint, you can share it on Drive, et cetera. And so that's a very, very easy way to share that information with others. You can build the repeated workflows using Pretty Matrix. And so you saw how I can actually, from a project, I have all these different tasks with the different due dates, and then I just have to save it. I just have to write that information down once and then save it as a template. And then you learn how to export and import CSV files, and then you learn how to leverage the vast amount of resources that we have completely free. And that's pretty much it in terms of the functionality around templates. So let me wrap up here. And then if there are any questions, I'd be happy to take them. So hopefully that gives you a very good sense on what Pretty Matrix template system can do. As mentioned, if you are still struggling to understand how to use Pretty Matrix on a more fundamental level, definitely check out one of the other webinars on the introduction to Pretty Matrix. And then, of course, if you're looking for a better way to manage emails, then, of course, look at the other webinar that we have on Email Management Masterclass. But the whole goal of Pretty Matrix is to create one central place to track all your priorities so that everyone on the team understands and are aligned on key tasks. And that's the goal. And so by using the template system, you're able to have the one central place to capture everything you have to do. And because you've created that information once, you'd never have to create it again. And then what's nice about it is you can start using that project for whatever purpose that you need. And let's just say you have that client onboarding, you can actually go and attach emails that from the client to those projects. And now you have one central place to track it all. And that's it, pretty much it. I conclude my presentation here. I'm going to take a look to see if there are any questions. If there are no questions, what I can also do is you can reach out to me at hi@affluence.com or our support at affluence.com with any feedback that you may have, and then we'd be happy to address them at a later time. The other thing I do want to mention is that, as I said, if you have specific use cases that you want us to provide resources for, we actually have AI systems to build those as well. So definitely reach out to us. And that's pretty much it. I give you back the rest of the time. Thank you all.